बिस्मिल्लाहिर्रहमानिर्रहीम, अस्सलाम वालेकुम। देसी टीवी यूएसए की खुसूसी रिपोर्ट के साथ मैं रुमैसा कुरैशी। ग्रेटर ह्यूस्टन में गन्स के जरिए तशद्दुद के सदेबाब के हवाले से एथनिक मीडिया की जानिब से जुमेरात 28 मार्च 2024 को कॉलेज ऑफ ह्यूस्टन बिब्लिकल स्टडीज़, जो कि 7000 रेजेंसी स्क्वायर बुलवर्ड ह्यूस्टन टेक्सास 77036 पर वाक़ है। कॉलेज ऑफ ह्यूस्टन बिब्लिकल स्टडीज़ में न्यूज़ ब्रीफिंग का इनेकाद किया गया, जिसमें कारकुनों, नौजवानों, हेल्थ वर्कर्स, पुलिस और पॉलिसी साजों की जानिब से आगाही दी गई। हस्ब रिवायत एथनिक मीडिया सर्विसेज की एग्जीक्यूटिव डायरेक्टर सैंडी क्लोज ने इब्तदा की। उनके बाद जिन शख्सियात ने ब्रीफिंग से खिताब किया, उनमें से डॉक्टर बिंदी नाइक, एमिली वाइटहर्स्ट, ह्यूस्टन एरिया विमेन सेंटर के सदर, राइस यूनिवर्सिटी में एक तालिब इल्म जासिर रहमान, ह्यूस्टन के इलाके के हाई स्कूल के सीनियर सामी बेग, ह्यूस्टन पुलिस डिपार्टमेंट ऑफिस में कम्युनिटी अमूर के सीनियर पुलिस ऑफिसर राउल कॉलिंस, कॉलेज ऑफ बिब्लिकल स्टडीज के रियल एस्टेट ऑपरेशंस के डायरेक्टर टेरी ब्रायन भी शामिल थे। ह्यूस्टन एथनिक मीडिया सर्विसेज की जानिब से मुनक्किदा ब्रीफिंग, जो सैंडी क्लोज की सरबराही में हुई, के दौरान असलहे के जरिए होने वाले तशद्दुद, आगाही, तालीम के हवाले से कोशिशों पर तफसीली बात हुई। इस ब्रीफिंग के इख्तिताम में सैंडी क्लोज ने नकिया कूपर और एथनिक मीडिया के तमाम शुरा की कोशिशों को सराहा और फैसिलिटेटर द कॉलेज ऑफ बिब्लिकल स्टडीज़ का खुसूसी शुक्रिया भी अदा किया, जिसके बाद रोज़ादारों के लिए खाने के खुसूसी तौर पर तैयार करदा बॉक्स सब में तकसीम किए गए, ताकि तमाम रोज़ेदार इत्मीनान के साथ इफ्तार कर सकें। आए मुलाहिजा करें इस ब्रीफिंग की मुकम्मल तफसील।
I know how important and helpful it is to have a written transcript of the speakers. So, thank you. This is almost a full house, which is really remarkable because this is the first time we've had a briefing at this wonderful venue. And I just want to ask everybody here in the room, let's give a hand to our host, the College of Biblical Studies, which has made this beautiful facility available. Now, we're going to start promptly because our first speaker has to leave at 11:30, and she's come all the way from Galveston. So we're on a time clock here, and we're going to start our formal program in about 3 or 4 minutes. But before I do, let me just say we have this wonderful opportunity to address the multiple diverse audiences served by the media newsroom. And this is really our honor. All of you are our honored guests, all the reporters who come, my thanks. This is maybe our 8th briefing together, and next month I will be coming for a 2-day meeting, strategy meeting with all of you. We will not be doing a briefing. We will be doing instead a strategic planning for the expo we hope to do in the fall.
We're discussing today about curbing gun violence and what we do here that we believe contributes to that. But the college here is a institution of 45 plus years old, serving a multi-ethnic community. Our mission is particularly to educate and equip multi-ethnic Christian leaders to impact the world for Christ, guided by a vision that is to develop and disciple multi-ethnic Christian leaders who transform underserved communities through a life-changing biblical education. That's what we do. We create multipliers and build into multipliers who go back in, or stay in their community or go get back into their community or other communities to impact their communities in a positive way. You're here on our Houston campus. We also have locations in Indianapolis, Indiana, and Fort Wayne, Indiana, and also an online presence as well. So we're across that and have students in various states across the United States and also in the Dominican Republic and the Bahamas and other locations because of the online programs that we offer. We're accredited like other institutions that you know here in the Houston area, University of Houston, Rice University, Texas Southern, those, our accreditation is the same as theirs. So we believe we have a quality education in our particular niche and focus about what we do. We offer associate's, bachelor's degree programs. We offer scholarships, something called Emerging Leaders, particularly to young men in fatherless homes, tuition free here as part of that impact in that community and trying to have influence in the community. And then we are in the process of launching a global campus for non-credit certification programs in various trades for individuals to not only have a biblical foundation, but to have a economic foundation where they can make a living while they're transforming those communities.
To see everyone here. Just a little bit about myself. I am a pediatric surgeon. I take care of, and in order to become a pediatric surgeon, you first have to be an adult trauma surgeon. So I trained here in Houston at Bentog, which you all know is is a place where everyone who gets shot basically goes. So I've seen, I would say, thousands and thousands of people, both adults and children, injured or killed by gun violence. After my training at Bentog, I worked at Texas Children's Hospital, where I started the trauma program for 10 years. And then most recently I moved to Galveston to lead their department over there. Part of that was essentially it brought together a lot of different, when you're in the hospital, you end up just knowing about what happens in the healthcare system, right? And I wasn't actually aware of all the community work that was around this, and that was really eye-opening because law enforcement is really engaged. There's community violence prevention programs that are really engaged. There's the women's shelter. There's Big Brother, there's so many, I can't even name them right now, all doing work around this area. And the goal really is to bring everyone together and try to collaborate. And so that's something that we're trying to do going forward. But I think regarding the community, there are some community efforts. There's a lot of social support that's needed for children who are injured or shot by guns. There are some programs called violence interrupters where people who keep getting in these fights or are injured by gun violence to try to prevent them, take them out of those situations so that they don't keep getting injured. There's obviously efforts on safe storage, like these gun locks, because what we found, especially in children, is a third or more of these injuries or deaths could be prevented with storing firearms safely, because they usually happen at home or in a family car. And just to give you some numbers, in the Houston area, we've studied the incidence of this, and it's about 200 children a year that are injured or killed by guns, and about 2,000 adults a year that are injured or killed by guns.
I would like to just ask quickly, how many people if you could just raise your hand if you're familiar with the Houston Area Women's Center? Okay, good mix. And you don't have to raise your hand, yes or no, but if you are familiar with the Houston Area Women's Center, I wonder if you would have thought of us as being on the front lines of addressing gun violence. And that's really the core issue I want to elevate today, and it is absolutely related to your question. So the Houston Area Women's Center, for those of you who don't know, is the region's rape crisis center and the largest domestic violence shelter and service provider. We have 2 24-hour hotlines and a chat feature for both the rape crisis and the domestic violence side. We accompany people to the hospital in the wake of an assault, and we run a 120-bed emergency shelter for women and children fleeing violence. And then we also have a set of services that are sort of longer term. Those are the crisis intervention services I just identified. So we have a housing program, economic empowerment, legal advocacy, and a whole host of behavioral health and well-being services. All of these are free. Right now, in the region, we do not have enough emergency supportive housing for survivors. So many times, instead of being able to get them immediately into our shelter, we're doing what we call safety planning, which is extremely important, and that's another takeaway I want you to have from today. Safety planning saves lives. Many times people don't realize that it's when they tell their abuser that they're going to leave, or right in the aftermath, or maybe that first year after they leave, that they're in the most danger. And so just to begin to queue up an answer to to a question I know Sandy's going to ask, which is what do I wish the media would know, or how would I wish they would cover this issue? Please don't think about this as isolated incidents between individuals. It's a public health crisis, and there are very vital messages that need to get conveyed. And one of them is that leaving is the most dangerous time, and that having a gun in the mix raises your lethality rates dramatically. So we have a secure campus and are very proud of the work we do there, but it's not to scale. We are building a new housing facility that will triple our capacity, but even still, as you might imagine, given the rising rates of domestic violence homicides, I think we've seen them double over the last 3 years. Most of those are from guns. We are really in a crisis. The scope and scale of this is truly unfathomable, just in terms of family violence, and then you add in the gun component, but about 1 out of every 10 calls to the police department, just under, are related to family violence, and just under 1 out of 5 homicides are family violence related. So it is much more than just an isolated incident between 2 people. At the Houston Area Women's Center, we look at this epidemic both with a gender lens and a racial lens. We understand that this is having a disproportionate effect on women of color, and our staff are a very diverse, multilingual, multicultural staff to make sure that the unique considerations of the survivors who come forward are really attended to, and also that we are able to address the systemic oppression that is creating conditions for violence to thrive. We really want to be able to tell the truth about that. I think in terms of things that we're doing, so people think of us, rightly so, as a frontline service provider, but we are also trying to do advocacy and thought leadership and policy development. And one of the things we did most recently, and this is another area that I hope you're familiar with, because there will be stories to write coming out at some point soon, and that is related to the case that is before the U.S. Supreme Court, U.S. v. Rahimi. This is a case that at question is whether or not known abusers who are subject to protective orders do or do not have a constitutional right to a firearm. The Fifth Circuit has contended that they do, that even if you are an abuser under protective order, you do not have to surrender your firearm. And I just have to pause because there should be a collective gasp in the room. It's horrifying. And I want both a gasp and also compassion, because that means this incredible important tactic that we have fought and won over the decades to make sure that the guns would be removed, we've lost it here in Texas, Louisiana, and Mississippi, and it's potentially in jeopardy throughout the country.
Hello, thank you for the introduction, I really appreciate it. My name is Jocelyn Ramon. I'm a junior at Rice University, and I'm also a leader at Team Up, which is Brady's youth organization. Brady United Against Gun Violence, if you're not aware, is the nation's oldest gun violence prevention group, and Team Up is the youth cohort, and we're helping to cultivate the next generation of voices and activists who will end gun violence. That's our goal. A little bit about my story. In 2018, a loaded gun made its way onto my high school's grounds, and as rumors spread and people started fleeing the campus, I thought to myself, am I next, or are we collectively next? Am I going to make it home today? Or am I just going to end up being another name on the long list of people who've been lost to mass shootings in this country? And in that, I still have Sandy Hook in my mind, and I did at the time, because when Sandy Hook happened, I was in the 4th grade. I was not even 10 years old. I was a 9-year-old, and we'd stopped the school proceedings for the day. We didn't do our crafts, we didn't do our readings. We listened, and we heard about the story of Sandy Hook and how people who are our age got shot and killed in that massacre. And things have never been the same since. There was a shift after Sandy Hook. Now schools are starting to do active shooter drills, training us to hide, run, and potentially fight if there is an active shooter on the school grounds. And it's not just about the possibility, it's about that inevitability that there's this threat in schools and to us as kids. That same year that a gun made its way to my high school in 2018 was also the Parkland shooting, when 17 children were murdered on the school grounds of Parkland. And gun violence prevention since then has become the #1 cause of death for children and young people under 18 in my lifetime. And it's almost as if gun violence has now become this integral part of our culture and our identity as a generation. It's become normal to read these headlines about kids getting shot in the street or in schools or anywhere where they should be safe. But we need to get one thing clear. This is not normal. It's not normal. The people of Houston know it. The children who are living under fear every single day in the city know it. The people at Team Enough who are organizing the young people every single day to work on this issue. And the parents of victims and those families of the victims who know and experience the pain that people feel every time you lose someone to gun violence. What's radical is that gun violence has become the single biggest public health threat to youth and young people. And yet, the people who are the adults in the room, who are the policymakers, who are the officials, lack the will to do anything about it. That is what is radical. And I say enough is enough. And Team Enough says enough is enough. And Brady says enough is enough. And everybody who's with me says enough is enough. This needs to stop. It's not radical. It's a fight for our lives. And there's this problem with gun culture where, especially in Texas and American culture broadly, where it's become embedded in the past 20 years. A lot of people think it's a historical thing, but there's been billions of dollars put into this by the gun industry to perpetuate this big lie that guns make you safer. But that's just not true. It's not true. We see it every single day when there's massacres on the streets. And I joined Team Enough to help change the status quo and reshape that culture and help teach people that gun violence is preventable and we can do something about it. And it all starts with youth. Youth can be a part of the solution. Young people are culture makers. People look for us for trends, new ideas. People look for our youthful energy, and we have a lot of it. We're very impassioned. And so we can end gun violence by driving that cultural shift for the future generations and for our generation. Coming from Kentucky and now having lived in Texas for the past 3 years as a student, I understand that people value their guns. It's really hard to change hearts and minds on the issue. And we can often be quick to write people off, especially gun owners, because we don't think that we can change their mind. And even entire states are written off by the political establishment that they're too far gone, we can't do anything to help them. But I don't think that's true, and Brady's End Family Fire program has really shown this to me, and it's proven that when gun owners and gun owning parents get education about safe storage, we can save lives. And it's 4.6 million children live in a home with access to an unstored and unlocked firearm. And then, that leads to, as I said earlier, 8 children every single day get shot. This is a real issue. It's horrifying, but there is a solution. It's super viable. We got these gun locks right here. Thank you to Raul for bringing these gun locks. We can, it's really simple to change the culture and just talk about what you can do to help safely store your firearm. With a modest increase in safe storage, which is when you just lock up all of your household firearms, studies have shown that we can reduce fatalities among youth by 32% for family fire fatalities. 32%, we can save lives. In Texas, I think there's Texas is the leader in these incidental shootings among youth. 150 kids every single year in Texas get shot. This is a real issue, right? And all you need to do is have one of these, have some education surrounding it. And so when we educate the public and the community on things like this, it's really simple. It's not unreasonable to ask people to lock up their weapon when it's unsupervised when their kids in the home. And it's a common sense solution. And Texas is no nonsense. Kentucky's no nonsense too, so that's how I know Texas is no nonsense. If you simply just tell people, to do the common sense thing, they're gonna do it, right? And so that's what we need to change the culture. Brady's done PSAs with the Ad Council on this as well, where after, gun owners and gun owning parents see our PSAs, they're 5 times more likely to look into these safe storage solutions. And family fire PSAs, when gun owners see them, 48% of those gun owners see or change how they store their firearms after viewing our ads. So it's really simple. All you need to do is get that information out there. There's no telling how many lives are saved by that small act of behavioral change.
I just wanted to take the time to thank Sandy and everyone that made this event possible. Hearing from youth, especially being able to have a platform to speak to reporters is very rare. And having y'all here to listen to us today is extremely valuable, and we greatly appreciate that. So when I started in the gun violence prevention movement, I joined March for Our Lives Houston in the 10th grade. Implement curfews to be afraid to go outside was a very scary experience. And when I was in middle school, no one should be going through that. And I still want to recognize I was very privileged to be able to live in a neighborhood that could afford a security guard, that could afford security cameras. Other neighborhoods in Houston do not have that privilege, and where my gun violence experience occurred in 2018, for children, especially here in Houston, it is a daily occurrence.
There is so much pressure to implement policy measures. And we're just kids, you know? We're in high school, we're not supposed to be doing this. And I had to learn about our Texas legislature for the first time alone. And I worked on a bill. It was a domestic violence harms prohibition bill. I contacted a lawmaker. Her name is Representative Goodwin. I researched about this bill through GIFers. I learned about how to track bills on Texas legislature online. I was able to find resources that were able to help me, but I had a computer and an email. Other kids don't have that, and I was able to teach myself these things I was very lucky. The first call that I got from the Capitol happened in a school assembly, and the first conversation that I had with the legislative director happened behind stage of my
basketball courts because I was an angry kid, and then I was growing to be a big kid. I was 6 foot at 12. I'm 6'7" now, and luckily I used that to fuel me. You know, I never got high or drunk a day in my life because my father tried to use that as an excuse in how it altered him. But for me, there is no excuse. Manhood protects womanhood, protects childhood. It's like a ring, and it's unbroken. You can love it, comes back to you. You know, again, you have to find your way in this, and I believe in using the NGOs, the non-governmental organizations.
I want to start by saying thank you to Officer Collins and everyone on this panel for the amazing work you all are doing. You know, I'm having a moment of not feeling worthy. So thank you all so much for your service to the community. It's a wonderful thing. Officer Collins has got a vertical jump about this high. He might show you a picture later like he did me. So, but anyway, let me jump into this. I'll keep it short. My name again is Terry Bryan. I serve as the lead of our safety and security team here at CBS. I want to share a few insights that we're battling from our perspective here in Southwest Houston and what we're doing to keep the campus safe. And I, again, thank everyone for their perspectives on this issue as well. So if I have a thesis statement, I would just simply say this. We prioritize creating a campus environment in which people are safe, they feel safe from physical harm, while at the same time changing lives, as Paul Keith stated a little while ago. So how do we do that at a high level perspective? Communication is key. So how do we communicate? Well, we communicate through safety policies and awareness to staff and students. We communicate on criminal activity in the area to our key constituents. We inform and communicate safety through our website, through different videos and activities, and I'll unpack that a little further in just a minute. We also communicate using staff and student emails. We collaborate with HPD. There's a substation right around the corner. They now know me on a first name basis. We invite them in to write the reports, come in and eat, break bread with us, whatever. But we love having HPD on property, and we communicate that to them as well. We also collaborate with Dallas Theological Seminary Chief of Police, as well as the Lone Star Chief of Police. Both of them have been very contributive to what our efforts and what we're doing. We have a CBS crisis management plan, that three of us really developed over the years, Paul Keith, myself, and Melinda Marilat, who's on the call. We have an alert system. We call it the CBS Watchman Alert System. So in the case of that type of emergency or any other emergency, we are able to send out text, phone, email alerts to people in real time. So that's also important to us. We have an armed security guard on campus. He's here anytime there's someone on campus, he is here. I think many of you probably met him today when you came in. We have most of our doors closed during the day. We have front door entry only. So in a sense, we battle the issue of we're an open campus. We want an open campus feel, but we're also having to maneuver through the issue of knowing that the crime is on the uptick. So we close most of our doors. People can exit or access cards can come in, but the other doors, but our front door is entry only, is the open door where our security guard resides. We complete a lighting log each week. We pay attention to our parking lot. When lights are out, we make sure they're taken care of right away. We do a daily security report. The security guard gives it to me. We review just to ensure is there criminal activity we need to deal with, talk about, blocked exits, any other hazardous thing we might be dealing with. One other thing we also, with our security guard, we make sure everyone has the phone number, a security phone we have on campus. If anybody wants an escort to their car late at night or anytime for that matter, we want to make sure that we get them to their car. We highly promote that with both us and our tenant. And we also communicate tips as to how to avoid car break-ins and other things like that. You know the drill. Don't leave your computer sitting on the dashboard, kind of things. And so I think with that, in conclusion, I just want to say we take safety and security very serious here at CBS, and we're making every effort in the community to offer a safe and secure environment, while also changing people's lives who go out into the world and the community.
Shout out from Nguyen Lee, who had to go to Vietnam for a couple of weeks for family issues, but she very much wanted to say, please remember me to my good friends at Houston Ethnic Media. So thank you again. Please stay for lunch. Please know that all of us want to ask you questions, and you were a terrific panel. Thank you.
देसी टीवी यूएसए से फिल वक्त इतना ही। मज़ीद खबरों और अपडेट्स के लिए देखते रहिए देसी टीवी यूएसए और हमारा यूट्यूब चैनल DTVNN। इसके अलावा हमारा OTT प्लेटफॉर्म DTV Flix, जहां पर आपको 2000 से ज़्यादा चैनल्स देखने को मिलेंगे।